Okay, and we are live. We already have a few people hanging out in the chat. For those of you in the chat, go ahead and let me know how the audio sounds. So we got Keegan and Mr. F hanging out in the chat. Noble, Present Arms. Hope everyone's doing well this evening. It's muted. Okay. I actually had to check the microphone. Muted. I'm pretty sure I haven't muted it. Good? Okay. Anyway. A bit of an impromptu stream. I needed to install the latest version of Tails in a VM. I've mentioned a couple of times on some of my recent videos that I've lost a few of my VMs due to some of the hopping. And one of the VMs I lost is I had a installation of Tails. Tails is the Amnesic Incognito Live system. It is basically an operating system based on Debian that is designed to give you privacy and anonymity while surfing the web. But we'll get into that more here in a minute. Also this evening I've got a beverage, as I usually do on these late in the evening streams. It is a Sunday evening here in the U.S. The beverage tonight, I'm sure somebody's going to ask, is Canebrake. Canebrake is a Louisiana beer. It is brewed by the Parish Brewing Company. Parish Brewing Company out of Broussard, Louisiana. It's an excellent beer. It is a wheat beer. Fantastic flavor. So, all right. And let me switch over to the chat view here. Let's see. Yeah, Mars, he mentions he tried to install Tails, and then it just so happens I had one of the only 2 USB sticks that don't work. Damn you, SanDisk. Yeah. I've actually used SanDisk. Actually, I have the some of the cruisers. I have 3, I think, 16 gig SanDisk cruisers. So the USB keys I use. I'm not actually going to be running Tails tonight off a USB key. Of course, that's the normal way you run it. You install it to a USB thumb drive. Tonight, I'm just going to use the ISO basically as a live USB in VirtualBox. So, yeah, Keegan, he's in Chromium. Firefox has been crashing on you a lot. And Ryan, finally we're able to catch a live stream. Good to see you, DT. Thanks, Ryan. Mr. F, cheers. Ghost Mirror, my recent 64 gig died on me. That is unfortunate. A 64 gig thumb drive, I know that's not terribly cheap. Yeah, Mr. Go F yourself. About 6 years ago, you lived in the lower 9th Ward in New Orleans. Very cool. Okay with you 100% now. Finally, second ISO is uploaded and website edited. Sheesh, what a day. So Present Arms has been working on his own distro, its own spin. Yeah, and he also mentions it sucks when a thumb drive dies. Yeah, especially a big one. I mean, 64 gigs. You know, that's not a cheap thumb drive. The 16 gig ones that I bought a pack of 3 16 gig SanDisk cruisers recently for the channel, you know, so because I needed some new USB keys. Mine were starting to give me problems. I've had some sitting around here for years, so I needed to buy some new ones, and a 3-pack of 3 16 gig cruisers cost me something like $45 at Best Buy. And Henning, salute. Can't wait to deep dive in the dark web. Yeah, I'm not sure how deep we're going to get into it this evening. It was just, like I said, I wanted to go ahead and download the ISO for Tails anyway, and get it working in a VM, which in the case of something like Tails is like a 2-minute job. So there's not going to be much to getting Tails to load up in a VM. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do, I'd actually already set it up just a few minutes before the stream. I've got my VM of Tails. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete it. You guys are probably wondering how you get this set up in a virtual machine anyway, especially in VirtualBox. So let me show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to create a new VM. I'm going to name it. I'm just going to name it the name of the operating system, Tails 3.7. Type. Now, by default, it's thinking it's a Windows program, but Tails is Linux. Change the type to Linux. Version, Ubuntu 64-bit. That would probably work, but it's really Debian 64-bit. Tails is based off of, so I'm going to click Next. Recommended memory is 1 gig. The Tails operating system uses the GNOME desktop environment. We need quite a bit more RAM than just 1 gig. I'm going to bump that up to at least 4. Might even bump it up to 6 or 8 at some point if I use Tails a lot. Anyway, the next section of creating your VM is creating your virtual hard disk, your virtual hard drive. We do not need a virtual hard drive because you don't really install Tails to a hard drive. There's no installation process really, at least not to like a physical hard drive or SSD. So we don't need a hard disk. So do not add a virtual hard disk. We're just going to boot directly off the ISO. And it is designed that way for a reason. Again, for privacy and anonymity, you never install anything. Nothing is permanent. So it's warning me, VirtualBox is warning me, you're about to create a virtual machine without a hard drive. Basically, are you sure about this? Yeah, we're sure. Alright, then I'm going to go into the settings here for that new VM I created. Under System, of course, the 4 gigs of RAM is here. I'm going to go to Processor. Got a 6-core CPU. I'm going to give this VM 2 cores of my 6-core CPU just to give it a little more power. Display, video memory, let's bump it up a bit. We'll just split the difference. 64. Enable 3D acceleration. I usually like to tick that on. Most Linux distros are going to need it. Alright, and then storage. Here is where we add the ISO, where we attach the ISO. So go to either one of these would work. Add optical drive would work. Choose disk. And then the ISO. So the Tails ISO. And that's it. The only other thing I'm going to do for purposes of this video, I'm going to go to user interface. I'm going to tick off the bottom status bar and the top menu that would appear in a VM normally, because that's not something I really need in the window, and you guys don't need to see it. It's just extra clutter on the screen. And that is it. When I click this VM now, it should run Tails. Back to the chat for a second. Ghost Mirror. He had his Fedora install on the 64 gig hard thumb drive. Yeah. Then it stopped reading it. Anything I plugged it into. Yeah. Oh, Rose is in the chat. Hello, Rose. Come across Rose again. I think I said hi to you earlier today, Rose, and somebody else's live stream. I forget. Might have been that Quid's live stream where he was trying to test stream. Keegan, just keep going until we see agents rush into your house. Yeah. I do have to be a little careful when I start talking about Tails and Tor. Well, not talking about it, but demonstrating some of what goes on, on the dark web when we start talking about that. Because I am streaming live. You never know what you're going to get when you click on links sometimes. So, Mars. My only interest with the dark web is trying to find really hard to find literature and libraries. Yeah. Sakis says, hey. Hey, Sakis. Tech Rage. Hey. Bruno Silveira. Hello from Brazil. Greetings, sir. Lamer is in the house. All right. Yeah. Yeah, Rose earlier. Yeah, I saw you on Quid's first stream. I never did actually see him stream anything. Hopefully he got it up and working. I hung out for 15-20 minutes waiting on him. I'm not sure if he ever was able to actually stream anything. Mars, you'd be amazed at how many truly suppressed books are out there. Well, that is one of the main things that something like Tails and the Tor browser would be used for is, in many parts of the world, probably in most parts of the world actually, censorship is a very real problem. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and get into the heart of the matter here. So let me pull up a browser. First, I'm going to go to DistroWatch, mainly just to show you guys Tails is a very, very important project, and it's a very, very popular distro. I mean, considering it's basically just a live Linux distribution, you don't install it, you just have it on a thumb drive, you carry it around, you plug it into any machine, any desktop, any laptop, you reboot that machine, and you're running Tails. When you're done, you unplug it, and you go. Tails is currently ranked 31st on DistroWatch. So that should tell you something, pretty popular for a live distro. The website here for Tails. Tails, again, is the Amnesic Incognito Live System. They have this little tagline at the top of the page. Privacy for anyone, anywhere. Alright, Tails is a live operating system you can start on almost any computer from a USB stick or a DVD, so you can make a live DVD, should you choose. It aims at preserving your privacy and anonymity and helps you to use the internet anonymously and circumvent censorship. All connections to the internet are forced to go through the Tor network. It leaves no trace on the computer you are using unless you ask it explicitly. It uses state-of-the-art cryptographic tools to encrypt your files, emails, instant messages, so forth, so on. And present arms. I do have Tor Browser installed. Help with some legit reasons to go, I guess, around some UK block torrent sites. Yeah. Rose, can Puppy Linux do the same things as Tails? Puppy is very light. Well, Tails is not designed to be light. It's designed to basically hide your location. It's basically to keep you anonymous. There's nothing light really about the Tails operating system. Again, it's using GNOME, based on Debian. It is slow when you run it too, because again, it's a live desktop. It is not, you're not actually installing it on physical hardware. So, it's not something you would want to use as your daily driver, even if you could install this on physical hardware, because most of the time you don't need to hide your location. Yeah, Iron Man is asking, am I still using Qtile? Yeah, I'm still running the Qtile window manager. Yeah, Henning mentions, yeah, Tor is slow. And the reason Tor is slow is because it's bouncing your IP all over the place, basically hiding you. So surfing the web is really slow, slower than what you're used to. But again, the point is not speed. The point is when you really need to be anonymous. Yeah, Mars says if you want anonymity, use Tails. If you want security, use Alpine. Right, we're not necessarily talking about security. Mostly this is for privacy concerns here, what we're talking about with Tails. Yeah, Henning also mentions to use a VPN. Anyway, back to the site here. We wanted to install Tails. You go to install Tails here. And which operating system are you installing Tails from? Windows, Mac, and then Linux. You got Debian, Ubuntu, Mint, and then other. What I did today to do this in the VM, I just went to other Linux and went to install from Linux, and I think from there there's Let's Go. It pulls down the ISO. The ISO, let me see how big that ISO was. Just a second. 1.1 gigs in size. Not a very big ISO. Anyway, you pull down that ISO and install it in VirtualBox if that's what you wanted to run it in. Now, let me do a quick search here, because Tails VirtualBox. They do have some warnings about running this in VirtualBox. Alright, running Tails in a virtual machine. It is possible to run Tails in a virtual machine using VirtualBox from Windows, Linux, or Mac, but they strongly suggest if you run Tails in a VM, make sure the host operating system is a secure operating system. Basically, your host machine better be Linux or BSD. It should not be Windows or Mac. Because already Windows and Mac are spying on everything you do. It doesn't make sense to put a VM for privacy, in those host machines. So it also recommends using only the open source edition of VirtualBox, I guess is what they're talking about here. Also mentions persistence. We're not going to have persistence here in a virtual machine. What persistence is on a USB stick, you have the option when you log in to use persistence, to where you can set up Tails to remember certain things. Now, you really don't want to use persistence for something like Tails. You really want, if you're looking for complete anonymity, complete privacy, you want, when you plug in that stick, you do what you do inside Tails, inside the Tor browser. When you unplug the stick, everything's lost. That's how you use Tails. You really shouldn't use persistence. But it is offered for those that want to use it. Yeah. Present arms. Yeah, don't run a VM using a Windows host. Yeah, if you're trying to be secure, you're trying to run a secure operating system in a VM, but your host system is completely insecure. Yeah, you kind of defeat the purpose there. Anyway, let me just go ahead and launch Tails here. We've talked a little bit. I was actually going to go through some of what the Tor network is about too in the browser, but we may come back to that. Alright, so this is basically the same as booting off your live USB stick. Assuming you've already installed Tails to a USB stick, this is basically what we're doing here inside VirtualBox, booting directly off the ISO. Yeah, Mars mentions, using persistence, you can save things like music, pictures, documents, emails on a Tails installation. Doing so is really stupid, though, if you install Tails basically so no one knows what you're looking at as far as documents, music, pictures, emails. But you can do it. Rose, do you have 2 USBs for Tails? You can use 2 USB sticks to install Tails. I think you install basically one operating system on a USB key, and then you use that operating system to install Tails to the other USB key, is the way that works. I've actually not gone through the 2 USB key install before, although I should. Okay, and this is where you log into Tails basically. Now there's no login, no password or anything. You can change keyboard, language. You can go to additional settings and do some other stuff like your network stuff. You can set an administrator password. And you're doing this on a USB key. There would be an option to use persistence. Anyway, you just click Start Tails. And TechRage is already getting ahead of us a little bit. Don't open your web browser on full screen. That's true. I'm going to do it anyway, because I want to see the warning, so you guys get to see it. Yeah, hinting is Ethernet's always tricky. Q1 Fiend, I forgot there was a new Tails out. I'm actually not sure how new 3.7 is. Let me look at the date. May 9th. So it's about 12 days old. And they release pretty quickly, Tails does. Every month or two, I think they... Because they have to keep things ahead of the game as far as keeping you basically private and anonymous. Anyway, warning, non-free virtual machine detected. So it probably has a problem with the particular version of VirtualBox I'm using. Alright, so did we already get the message? Yeah, Tor is ready. You can now access the internet. So you need to wait till you get that message before you open your web browser, because you're not really anonymous until you get that message. Now you can go to the internet, to Tor Browser, and now we are completely anonymous. once the browser loads. Now GNOME is very slow. And again, this is a live environment. So I still haven't taken a drink of my Cane Break beer here. Oh yeah, excellent beer. I'm not sure about the availability though. Again, it's kind of local to me here in Louisiana. It's a Louisiana brewery. Not sure how hard to find it would be in the rest of the U.S. I'm sure outside of the U.S. it'd be impossible to find. It's not a very big brewery. Present Arms here. It says, goes and makes a drink while the Tor browser loads in a VM. Yeah. You probably could have went and cooked dinner while the Tor browser loaded there. Henning says, cheers. Thank you, sir. Anyway, the Tor browser. Now, what someone in the chat was mentioning is opening the web browser full screen. That was Tech Rage mentioned that. The first thing most people do with their web browser is this right here. You make it full screen. Well, you get this warning. Warning, maximizing Tor browser can allow websites to determine your monitor size, which can be used to track you. We recommend that you leave your Tor browser windows in their original default size. So basically, however the Tor browser opens by default is how they want you to leave it. To be completely anonymous and private. Now, is that overstated a little bit? Probably. Yes, somebody tracking me, even if they can't really pinpoint my location, they know that my monitor size right now is, I don't know, resolution anyway, is 1920 by 1080. Is that a lot of information to go on? I wouldn't worry about that personally, but I can understand, that they're letting you know up front that, somebody can get that information. So, anyway, where do you go here? Well, I actually don't play around with Tails too much, or the Tor browser that much, because I don't have much of a need for it. But one thing I do know is there are a lot of hidden wikis out there. So a hidden wiki basically shows you some of the hidden services on Tor. Yeah, Henning, be better careful. Yeah, be careful. Resolution is a thing. Yep. I don't plan on doing anything scandalous in this VM tonight, though I do need to be careful searching for the hidden wikis here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over to the chat view for a second. Let's see. Rookie Gamer. Just to say, I like your videos on the channel. Friendly wave from the Netherlands. Thank you, Rookie. Appreciate that. Yeah, only worried if it's a funny resolution, as a lot of people... Yeah, something very common like 1920 by 1080. I mean, that's... Yeah. I guess if it was a weird monitor, especially if it was one with a strange ratio. Like if you had one of those square monitors, instead of, one of the widescreen. Yeah. These days, not too many people run anything like that. Anyway, DuckDuckGo, I'm going to do a search for the hidden wiki and see what I can find here. Once I find something that looks like it's not too scandalous. Let's see, so I did a search for the hidden wiki. I'm going to do a search for the past month. There's a lot of hidden wikis out there. Some of them are not very good. They don't really give you much information. Let's see, how about this one right here? And Mr. Go F Yourself says he tours a lot, and for added security you can set your entrance, hop, exit nodes. Yep. I need to pull up the Tor website here in a minute and show you a little bit. Explain exactly what Tor is. I meant to do that really before I launch the VM. Anyway, this is a hidden wiki. So, basically, this is a list of some of the hidden services on the Tor network. And you can always tell a hidden service because it doesn't have a typical web address. It's not going to be something like websitename.com or websitename.net. It's going to be website name, and it's usually not even a name. It's random string of characters and numbers, and it ends with .onion. .onion. Those are hidden services on the Tor network. And looking through some of this hidden wiki, I know the font's kind of small. I wonder if I can adjust the zoom in on this. I'm not sure if that's something they would recommend me do here or not. Let's see. It doesn't give me a warning when I zoom in, so I guess they're cool with it. Anyway, so we have some search engines, links to other hidden wikis. We have financial services. Financial services include things like buying and selling PayPal accounts, credit card information, hidden wallets, Bitcoin wallets, counterfeit money. I mean, so some of this, actually quite a lot of it, is not legal in most places. So this is one of the, one of the criticisms that the mainstream media has of things like the Tor network and the dark web in general is pretty much everybody on it's a criminal. Well, that's overstated, but yeah, there is a lot of criminal activity on the dark web. Commercial services here. Let's see, we can buy low-priced Apple products. What do you want to bet some of those are stolen? Gold and diamonds. There is Euro guns here. That's been around for a while, actually, on the dark web. I've seen this one around for a little while. That is your #1 European arms dealer. So we have a lot of hacking services. U.S. fake IDs. U.S. Fake passports. We have the Samsung store. So we have, some Apple products. Those of you that prefer Samsung products, I guess you can get them as well. Domain services, setting up your own, .onion domain and doing your own hidden service here on Tor. I'm sure there's some hosting services too. Image hosting. Definitely don't want to click on any of the image hosting. You got to be careful with that stuff. There is a lot of pornography on the dark web, and in particular, a lot of child pornography. So, blogs and essays. Let's see. Email. Now, this, of course, is going to be like anonymous email providers. And social networks. I'm assuming a lot of these are anonymous as well. Then you got forums, boards, chans, wikis, hacking, freaking, anarchy, wares, virus, cracks, audio, video, books, and then a very large drug category. And this is one of the reasons that the Tor network and the dark web really became in the public eye was drugs. Early on, there was a hidden service on the dark web called the Silk Road. The Silk Road was basically, it sold drugs. Every kind of drug imaginable. Any illegal narcotic, pills, heroin, cocaine, whatever, marijuana. And you could buy it. And word got around. And this hidden service, this Silk Road website, became huge. Huge in that the guy that started it made countless millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Who knows how much this guy made. But he made a ton of money. And he evaded law enforcement forever until they caught him and shut down the site. And what was interesting about the whole story behind the Silk Road, you guys can wiki the Silk Road and read about it or Google it. Like when the Silk Road was taken down, that guy's site was taken down and he was arrested and all that. Within a couple of days, the Silk Road 2 was up and running and selling drugs again. And those guys also suffered the same fate. They all went to jail. And then there was the Silk Road 3. You see where I'm going with this. Yeah, Mr. Go F Yourself in the chat mentions the guy's name, at least on the web, was called the Dread Pirate Roberts. Yeah. Which is a very cool name. For those of you that have seen the movie The Princess Bride, wasn't that Wesley's pirate name, the Dread Pirate Roberts? Anyway, so you have a lot of drug categories here. So You got Onion Pharma, the pharmacy marketplace, stimulants, opioids, ecstasy, weed, cigarettes, cannabis, high quality green at wacky prices. And that is wacky weed. So I'm going to get demonetized showing you guys this. But anyway, I want to show you some of the seedy underground here on the dark web, because this is what the media tells you about the dark web. Now, what are some of the actual legit reasons why you would want to be hidden on the internet, view whatever you're wanting to anonymously? Now, for a lot of us in the U.S., we don't have much of a need. I mean, if we were getting on the dark web, yeah, maybe we would want to do some less than legal things, you know, like torrenting or whatever you might want to do, any kind of pirating. But for much of the world, censorship is a very real thing. Just, you know, viewing Facebook is an impossible task in some countries without resorting to something like loading up Tails and the Tor browser. So there are legit reasons why a lot of people actually need something like this, why Tails and Tor are really a fantastic project and should be supported financially for those that feel that they can do so. There is a donate button, by the way, on the Tails website. I believe it's actually on the downloads page, which is always a great way to that's a great spot. I wish most distros would put a donate button right on the downloads page. Some don't. And it's kind of annoying, especially when you find a distro you really want to donate to, and there's no like big donate button somewhere, you know, that's obvious. Going back to the chat, I ignored the chat here for a minute. Going through some of the hidden wiki. Alright, yeah. More talking about VPNs, yeah. If you're worried about privacy, yeah, do VPN. Do Tor over a VPN, yeah, for even more privacy. Mr. Go F Yourself. I use and manually config a SOCKS 5 proxy versus VPN. Rookie Gamer. Bitcoin is not going to make it anyway. Our new coin does not use traditional blockchain, no orphan blocks, but 100% decentralized ledger bookkeeping. I'm not sure if Bitcoin's going away or not. It's been around for a little while now. Initially, I wouldn't think that something like Bitcoin would catch on, but it did. Alright, some talk about some hashing. What does buying something illegal do if it gets detected in the mail? Well, that's the problem, especially, you know, here in the U.S. You know, buying large quantity of narcotics and having it shipped to you. For one thing, where are you having it shipped? Are you shipping it to your house? I mean, and people do that, and people have been arrested for doing that. Like they find, you know, somebody that's ordering, you know, drugs through the mail, either from something like, you know, the Silk Road website back in the day, or from just any random person, you know, and they have somebody mail them, you know, large quantity of narcotics, and the Postal Service, yeah, discovers, hey, this package has drugs in it. Well, who are the drugs for? Well, I mean, there's an address on it, so somebody's got to pick up that package, you know, or it's got to go to somebody's house or business. Yeah, hinting CIA and other guys are hiding there. Yeah. It's not just like, you know, the media is going to make it sound like everybody on the dark web is a drug dealer, a terrorist, or a child pornographer. But there are a lot of like government officials that hang out. You will find law enforcement, of course, FBI, you know, and maybe they're on there, you know, to check out what some of the less than desirable people are doing, you know, like, for example, terrorism. But yeah, you find government officials that use it to also be anonymous. Sometimes they want to send anonymous email. Sometimes they want to, you know, leak something anonymously to the press. How do you do that? Well, you would, if you were smart, you would do it with something like Tails, the Tor browser, using some kind of anonymous email service, some of the Tor email services. Mark Yates, boy, you're gonna get the FBI knocking on your door. Yeah, wouldn't be the first time. Present arms. Be right back. Taking some orders. No, don't do that. Hope he's not ordering anything off the hidden wiki. Well, I lost my place here. Let's see. Breno. Weed. Yeah, there's some weed sites. Henning. This is normal stuff. Yeah. Q1 Fiend. The grungy back alleys of the internet. I need a bath. Yeah, and a lot of what I just showed you is really kind of the tame stuff. There's a lot worse stuff. A lot worse stuff. If you wanted to seek it out. I don't suggest you do that. Yeah, real educational content, not the made of stuff in school, yeah. Well, I'm not showing anybody here anything that they didn't already know as far as, there's a lot of bad stuff out there in the world. And again, the Tails operating system and the Tor browser, they serve a very real purpose, a real need. Toss is in the chat. I thought this was the title of a new Marvel movie. Henning, Bitcoin is growing. Breno, weed literally saved my life. Okay. Yeah, Toss mentions there was a good story on weed on 60 Minutes. Yeah, a lot of weed stories in the news these days, it seems. Yeah, Gregory, I don't run Tails, but I think it would be good to have it in my toolbox. Yeah, so what you want to do, put it on a USB stick. That's all you need. If you got a laptop bag with a laptop, throw it in there. And if you're ever really worried about people seeing what you're doing on the internet, plug in that USB key. Or, in some cases, you need to send email anonymously. And that's a tough one. Because, it's hard to send email anonymously. Like, you think, well, I'll just sign up for a Gmail account and I'll just, choose a fake name or something. Yeah, but you can still be tracked that way. You really need to use something like Tor. So, and I guess I waited a few minutes here in Tails, so we got the screen lock. Here in GNOME, I believe you just drag the screen up. Yeah. It kind of lagged a little bit, but that's typical with GNOME. Yeah, Gregory Locke mentions Proton Mail for anonymous email. Anyway, so we have all these .onion sites. Should I actually click on any of them? Anything that's got any kind of images, I don't want to click on, because again, you never know what some of these are. But you know what? The drug sites are actually probably the safest ones to click on, as far as we're probably not going to get anything too crazy. They're just trying to sell us drugs. So let's open up the drug market, if it'll open up. Alright. Yeah, it's pretty safe. Basically, you need a username and password. It says click here to join. Once you click here to join, you'll have a username, password, enter your CAPTCHA. Then you enter a website that basically offers you a wide variety of drugs, no doubt. So, other sites that have hidden services. I mean, I've seen things on here for hiring hitmen. If you want to hire somebody for murder. Which, of course, a lot of this stuff is going to be scams. Now, the drug sites, I can tell you, a lot of these are legit. And that's why they're so heavily focused on as far as a lot of news stories. But, like some of the real outrageous stuff you see on the dark web, a lot of that is just people scamming. I can hack your girlfriend's Facebook page if you pay me, whatever in Bitcoin. Well, do you really know this person has those kinds of skills? No, you don't. I mean, you're taking everything on faith, basically, on the dark web. So, Scammer Central on a lot of this stuff. Yeah. Mark Yates, you've corrupted Toss? No, Toss was corrupted before, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Rookie, I oohed at the new Ubuntu LTS. It's very GNOME-like, yeah? Gregory, I got kicked off of a website for making a joke about weed. Yeah? DT, lock the door before clicking join. Yeah, I'm not actually going to do anything that could be construed as being illegal here. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about this stuff. Matter of fact, I mentioned I was going to go to the Tor website because it's going to do a much better job explaining what the Tor network is, what the Tor browser is. So Tor stands for the Onion Router. So Tor is a free software open network that helps defend against traffic analysis, a form of network surveillance that threatens personal freedom and privacy, confidential business activities and relationships, and state security. So basically, think about anybody that's ever leaked anything. So WikiLeaks, yeah. WikiLeaks, that was Tor. Anybody that wants to leak anything to the press, whistleblowers. Sometimes they want to remain anonymous. How do you do that? Tor. I mean, like I said, there's very legit reasons why people need something like Tor. And why anonymity matters? The Tor protects you by bouncing your communications from a distributed network of relays run by volunteers all around the world. And I believe there is some kind of documentation, like diagrams that explain exactly what the Tor network is. Yeah, here. Basically, it shows you how it bounces your connection between various places, and it does it enough times. I think it has to do it at least 3 times. I could be wrong. I actually haven't read through this. But if it bounces your connection, I think 3 different places before it gets to where it's going, nobody really knows where you've been, where you're at anymore. Anyway, I'm not actually going to take the time to read that because I don't know much about it myself, to be honest. I would need to study up on it a little bit. But that's basically the Tor network, the Tor browser. It bounces you all over the place. Nobody knows where you're at. Nobody can pinpoint your location, your IP. Of course, it makes the browser very slow as far as, download times for the pages. You guys saw the browser's pretty slow. Actually, the Tails operating system is very slow as well. But again, this is not something you use as a daily driver. It's one of those things when you need it, you've got a live USB stick, you plug it in, do what you need to do with it, take the live USB stick out of the machine, reboot the machine, and it's back to normal again. Nothing was ever placed on that machine. Nobody can ever know what you did. The live USB stick also has nothing on it because if you're not using persistence, which you shouldn't, nothing's on that live USB key. So anyway, that's a very brief general look at Tails and Tor. And the dark web. The dark web, for those who are wondering about that name, is the dark web is basically like the hidden web. It's the web that, well, it's the web that search engines can't crawl. Pretty much the internet, the known internet that can be crawled. Like things like Google. They send out their spiders and just get all that information. They know about it. It's in their search engines. The dark web, all these onion sites, are not crawlable. Google can't find them. Google doesn't know they exist. How do you know they exist? Somebody has to actually tell you that URL. Somebody has to create something like that hidden wiki. Otherwise, you're never going to find those sites. So you're not going to Google and get these websites unless somebody put it out there for you to find. So excuse me here, going through some of the slides here in OBS. Yeah, obvious traps. Yeah, so, that's another thing. You have to be careful with stuff on the dark web. I'm sure a lot of this are traps. The FBI sets up one of these drug sites, hoping you order from them. You really got to be careful with some of the pornography stuff. Anything dealing with child porn, you should be nowhere near that stuff on the internet. I mean, forget about buying, selling anything. I mean, don't even click on any of that stuff. You're just asking for serious trouble. Yeah, LOL. No knock warrant. Yeah, knock knock, FBI. Tails was used by Edward Snowden. Yeah, that's correct. Tor gets around my open DNS and host file. Let's see, I've seen too many Indian telescammers being hacked by anonymous on YouTube. Let's see. You can even keep your system repos private through Tor. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, Toss is asking about Diaspora. How's that working out? It's a very nice site, actually. I actually am enjoying Mastodon a lot more because there's a lot more activity. I get toots, not tweets, toots on Mastodon a lot. And, you know, a lot of the folks on my channel, probably a lot of the folks on your channel too, Toss, because we have a lot of the same subscribers. They're on there, you know. I converse with them on Mastodon on a daily basis. Diaspora is a little different because it's more Facebook-like. And to be honest, I never liked Facebook anyway, but the Diaspora community, they're friendly. I like Diaspora as well. But you should definitely get accounts at both Diaspora and Mastodon. And when you do, announce it to your subscribers, Toss, and you'd be surprised when I made a video saying I was going to go to Diaspora and then again to Mastodon. You know, I probably had 100 of my subscribers, you know, sign up that day just to join me over there. So you'll instantly have a little community around you. It's not like you're going to sign up and you're not going to know anybody there. So, really cool. Does Tails ever need updated? Yeah. So, eventually there will be a new version of Tails out, and you need to update that for security reasons. You always need to be on the latest one. I'm not sure if there is an upgrade path where you can just upgrade without having to reinstall, but the install process is not very long, so I would just, you know, make another USB key. Not to mention, if you're not using persistence, you know, you don't have to worry about losing any information. So, like, eventually there'll be a Tails 3.8 out, probably in a month, 2 months. I just burn that to a USB key, and I got the new Tails. So, yeah, Omar, I would put Tails on USB, then encrypt with VeriCrypt. Mission accomplished. Very good, sir. Undefined particle. Lamino, not sure who that is, did a good video about it. I'll have to check that out. So Tails works like a VPN. Tails, I'm not exactly sure, you know, like some of the processes going on as far as the operating system with Tails. I know kind of how Tor works, but as far as actually the Tails operating system itself, I'm not exactly sure what it's doing to hide your, you know, identity. So I'd have to research into that a little more. Again, I just know when I'm in Tails and do the right things, I'm supposed to be completely anonymous. Henning mentions the free web sounds a bit better. Yeah. Matt King, don't do anything illegal. Mark Yates, yeah, that's jacked up. No bueno. Mars is asking, what's the strangest thing you found on the dark web? I mean, you can find people selling all kinds of things. I mean, selling all kinds of goods and services. I mean, again, you can find people who claim that they're hitmen for hire, which most of that's going to be bogus. You can find people that claims they can sell, you know, human remains and everything. But you can find some crazy stuff. I couldn't tell you offhand what's the craziest thing I've seen on the dark web. I don't go around really looking for anything crazy. Now, you have a lot of really wacko people as far as, you know, of course, terrorists. But like these militia types, these people that want to set up their own country and start their own army. I mean, you got some nut jobs out there. So, yeah, undefined particle. Mastodon is pretty cool. Yep, I've seen you over there. Yeah, Gregory Locke, if you send too many messages on Facebook, they will offer to disable your account permanently. Well, I've already deleted my Facebook account, so I shouldn't have to worry about Facebook anymore. Hopefully they've taken it all down by now. Yeah, Mr. Go F yourself. Repos via Tor keeps eyes away from knowing what you're installing on your system, yeah? I wonder if Tails does that by default. I mean, if I wanted to install something, because I'm pulling it down from the Debian repos. So Dennis says, "Oh, bay the way." Hi, Derek. Bay the way to you, Dennis. Joe's in the chat. Hi, Derek. Hi, Joe. Did you see the interview that Destination Linux did with one of the heads of private internet access? I did actually catch that. That was a very good interview. Yeah, Brad Olson. Tails is layers of encryption. Gregory, I heard you can buy a cheeseburger on the dark web. I wouldn't eat that cheeseburger. Yeah, Joe mentions he just got home. Yeah, I'm just winding down here, after doing a little bit, moving around today. Figured I'd do a short little stream here, although we've been streaming about 50 minutes now. Anyway, let's get back to Tails for a second. The Tor browser here. Now, if you were doing persistence, you would have the option of using things like bookmarks, so I could save this hidden wiki or whatever else any cool sites I find. Again, if you're really trying to be anonymous, don't use persistence. But under applications here, of course under favorites, we have the Tor browser. That's really the application on Tails. That's what you're going to basically use 95% of the time that you use the Tails operating system. So you have Thunderbird for email, you have Pigeon for instant messaging. I'm assuming you could do anonymous instant messaging. I'm not sure though. I haven't used Pigeon in years, many years. I mean, instant messaging is kind of dead, but I'm assuming I could set up some kind of anonymous account. And because it's in Tails, nobody can track where those instant messages are coming from. Nobody can pinpoint your location. So, of course, we have KeyPass, we have a terminal, standard desktop stuff like our calculator, file manager, text editor. We have GTK hash too. Graphics. I'm not sure why we have things like GIMP, Inkscape, LibreOffice Draw, Scribus, and Simple Scan. Some of those are strange choices for a distro like this. I wouldn't expect a lot of that to be here. Under Internet, we have our Bitcoin wallet, Gabi, Liferia, which is a newsfeed reader. Then we have the Onion circuits. I believe this is where you can play around with some of the, like the nodes and stuff. Really don't know what to do here, so I'm not going to play around with it, but for those interested in it, there it is. Also under Internet, you have Onion Share. Not exactly sure what that is either. Let's see what it does. Oh, it's file sharing, I'm assuming. Stop sharing automatically. Drag and drop. I guess add files and folders. There's no files on this system though. But I guess it's for files and folders like during the live session. Maybe if you weren't using persistence, maybe you could save it somehow. I'm not sure. Not sure what that is. Not sure where it would put that stuff. And we have the Tor browser. We also have unsafe browser. I'm assuming this is not the Tor browser. This is, so you're not anonymous when you use the unsafe browser. But it's probably quicker. So there's a reason where you really don't care whether you're anonymous or not. Use the unsafe browser. The entire LibreOffice suite is installed here. Again, that's an interesting choice. Sound and video. I'm surprised all these multimedia apps. Again, for a distro like this, it's mainly designed just to surf the web anonymously. Why do you really need Audacity, Brasero, TV, Sound Juicer, Sound Recorder, Traverso, GNOME Videos? Alright, system tools. Here is where you configure your persistent volumes or delete your persistent volumes. Again, persistence is there for those that want it. So if you wanted to be able to, for example, save bookmarks for your web browser, save files in your file manager, and they'd be there permanently. The next time you use Tails, they'll be there. You can use persistence. I would use that cautiously though. You have the Tails installer, so if I had Tails on this thumb drive and I wanted to create a second thumb drive, again, the two USB keys, I could click on Tails installer to install the other one. Universal access. This is Dasher. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe onboard on-screen keyboard. Utilities. Yeah, just your standard like system monitor, archive manager, document viewer. All right. Let's see. Toss. He's feeling the power of the dark side. Yeah. Yeah. Nokia mentions, remember that if you're on Windows, when using a VPN, Windows still opens connections outside the VPN. Yeah. If you're trying to be private and be anonymous, you don't need to be using Windows. Same thing again with this VM. Even though I'm running Tails in a VM and Tails is supposed to keep me anonymous, it only keeps me anonymous if the host operating system is also secure. So again, don't do this on a Windows machine. Do it on a Linux machine. Don't do this on Mac either. Do it on a Linux machine. If you're going to do it in a VM. Now, the safest way to do this, again, USB key is really how you need to do it. Yeah, Mars mentions, well, gone are the days of the MSN Messenger and, yeah, AOL Instant Messenger. Yeah. Instant messaging died 15 years ago, really. It's been dead forever. Mark Yates, I love Signal. It's notorious for dropping messages. Carl Schneider's in the house. He says, word up, homies. Word. Carl, you rock. Good to see you. Anyway. Toss. Cutting sandwiches, Greg? Who's cutting sandwiches? You or Greg? I like sandwiches. What kind of sandwich? I like ham, salami. Pretty much any pork product is good on a sandwich. Yeah. A few people are still mentioning the CIA and the FBI. I expect to hear from them any minute. Knock on the door. Maybe even receive a phone call. Hey, kid, knock it off. Yeah. Undefined particle. DT. Office worker by day. Vigilant haxer by night. Not a haxer. Not even sure what a haxer would be. Tosh, you had a sandwich for dinner. Very good, sir. PB&J? Yeah, Mark Yates mentions Ranger would go well with this machine. Absolutely. And I would expect more utilities like that for something, a distro like this. Instead of all those multimedia apps. That's very strange they included Audacity and Pativi. Why do you need an audio editor and a video editor in Tails? I just can't imagine a use case for that. So, Tim F is in the house. Hope you're well. Same to you, Tim. Hope all is good, sir. Yeah, Carl, sandwiches are his favorite dinner. Why are we on food again? Mate and meatballs. That's somebody else's show. That's not my show. Yeah, Daniel DeBruno is asking about my thoughts on cubes. I would love actually to check out cubes. To do cubes, though, I have to install it on physical hardware. So I would have to wipe out either my desktop or my laptop. I'm not going to wipe out my production machine and put something like cubes on it. Might do the laptop at some point. Cubes is a very cool project, though. You know, it does a lot of containerization for security reasons. But all that containerization that it does, you can't install it in a VM. It will not install in something like VirtualBox, so I can't show you guys like a VM of it. I'd actually have to install it. Oh, Tim F is mentioning he's 12 hours of sleep and major cold medicine. Oh, well, I hope you're feeling better, Tim. I know you were feeling under the weather last night. Toss, salami. I like salami. Ham and salami is the perfect sandwich. Ham, salami, and pepperoni. And maybe with a little capicola. Yeah. You rock, Carl. All right. Yeah. With the right ingredients, sandwiches is the only food group you need. That's true. Sandwiches can have all 5 of the food groups. I mean, you've got the ham group, you got the salami group. You gotta have some cheese too, Toss. Provolone's good. Yeah, Nokia mentions cubes has a few hardware requirements. Or not all hardware runs cubes. Okay, well that's something to be aware of. Yeah, cubes is a tricky distro. What I know about it, what I've read about it, it's a really interesting project though. Yeah, Carl mentions there's no booze in a sandwich. That's true. There is no alcohol in sandwiches. I don't know how you would add that itself. Again, for those just arriving, the beer for this evening was Canebrake. Canebrake made by the Parish Brewing Company out of Broussard, Louisiana. It is a wheat ale. Very good beer. Small brewery though. Most of you are not going to be able to find it. For those of you in Louisiana, maybe Mississippi, you can probably find it. For those of you that are not swamp billies, you're probably not going to find that beer. But it is excellent beer, so I was in the mood for it. Yeah, Edward Snowden endorsed cubes. Yeah, TMF, does it have is it cloudy or is it filtered? This one is filtered. Now, that Belgian beer that I was drinking the other night, Leffy, actually Hogarden too, that was a couple weeks ago. I know those aren't filtered. Those have a lot of cloudiness to them. A lot of weird bits floating around in them, like orange peel. You can actually see stuff floating in the glass. But those are fantastic beers. If you like those Belgian white beers. Pretty much if you like something like Blue Moon, you would love Hogarden and Leffy. Because they're actually Belgian beers. They're not fake Belgian beers like Blue Moon is. Blue Moon is actually an American Belgian style beer. Ah, Carl Schneider. Have I ever tried Lagunitas? I have. Every now and then, I like hoppy beers. I like IPAs. It's got to be the right weather, though, because it's so dang hot down here, especially this time of year. Now, in the winter, I drink a lot of IPAs. In the summer, it's got to be something a little lighter. Yeah, Omar mentions Dos Equis, yeah. Yeah, Mr. F, you like a good black and tan beer? Yeah. Yeah, Tim F, Belgian beers at the top of the list. Yeah, some of the best beers. If we're talking beers as far as ranking the best beer producing countries, Germany's at the top of the list. German beers. I've never had a bad beer from Germany, ever. England is a very close second. But you know what? The Belgian beers are great. The French beers are great. Way, way, way down the list, the American beers. Now, we do have a lot of good microbreweries here in the U.S. that make really good beers. So. Yeah, Tim mentions maybe you'll feel good enough to drink one soon. Yeah. Well, I hope you feel better. Yeah, Present Arms, the specs for cubes. If your laptop is all Intel, you'll be good. I don't have an Intel laptop. AMD. Yeah, Danish as well. Copenhagen, Spin Viking. Yeah. Anyway, that was pretty much all there was to Tails here. I'm going to go ahead and log out of this VM. Wow, that's taking a long time to close. Again, it is, booting off a live ISO. That's not a real install, so everything's a little slow there. Is that Nalris Ali? Hello, DT. First time here. Welcome, sir. Everybody say hello to Nalris. Hope I pronounced that name right. Keegan, we have a few distilleries and vineyards as well. We like our drinks. I know you do, sir. Yeah, Switch to Linux did some cubes tutorials with his video camera. Very cool. Yeah, I'm going to eventually take a look at cubes. That's one that I've actually, since I started the channel, I mean, early on, I really wanted to take a look at cubes. It's just, the fact that I have to install it on physical hardware to review it, it's just not going to work as a VM. I'm not even sure if it would work like off a live USB key. I really need to do an install of it. I'm not going to wipe out my main production machine for something like cubes because I know I'm not going to run it long term. But it is a really cool project, and I hope to take a look at it someday soon. Alright. Man, I've got a lot of VMs here. And I swear, 2 weeks ago I had like 5 VMs, and I've got a ton of VMs now. I need to, they're going to take up a lot of hard drive space. I need to decide what I need to keep and what I don't need to keep. I know I'm keeping that base Arch install I did last week and that base Gentoo install I did last week. I'm keeping these because I'm going to clone them and I'm going to build proper desktop environments on them. May clone them several times. But, I mean, do I really need Manjaro OpenBox? Probably not. Seduction, Sabian, Calculate, Arco Linux, the Awesome Edition. I'll keep that one. I really like that. Antragos, GNOME. And then, of course, the big releases a couple of weeks ago. Fedora 28, and then Lubuntu, Kubuntu, Xubuntu, Ubuntu Budgie, Mate, mainline Ubuntu, all 1804. I probably don't need to keep 6 different flavors of Ubuntu 1804. I like keeping 1 or 2 around for purposes of the channel. If I want to test out, something in Ubuntu for a video, I like having a VM of it around. But for purpose, I mean, I've got a 500 gig SSD drive in my main machine here. 500 gigs is not that much space. That's a few too many VMs, really. Yeah, Carl. No sense wasting a good beer. In my entire life, I think I've poured out maybe 3 beers. I remember one time in particular, I got a 6-pack of beer, and it was so bad. I don't know if it was just out of date, but anyway, that was the only beer that was just so bad. I think I drank 3 of the 6-pack, and then opened the other 3 and just poured them all down the sink, threw the bottles away. Yeah, Norris says thank you for everybody saying hi to him. Yeah, glad to have you. Yeah, Nokia, it's possible to record cube screen. Present Arms, your distro is a rolling distro. I like rolling distros. That's what I've been running here lately anyway. I like stable distros though. If I didn't do this channel, I'd probably just stick to something stable. Put something stable on it and just leave it. Leave it for 2-3 years. Don't mess with it. Tim says no comments from Toss. He's too busy freaking chewing. Yeah, Alberto's asking about my thoughts on Solus. Yeah, I've been running Solus on the laptop behind me for over a month now. No issues. No breakages at all, even though it's kind of a rolling release distro. It's stable. Had no issues with it at all. Now, I don't do that much with it. I mean, it's pretty much soulless budgie out of the box. I've installed a few things I need to do, like if I occasionally want to stream or, you know, do anything on the channel, I can do it from that laptop. It's got things like Audacity, Kdenlive. I think I installed Zoom on it, so if I wanted to join like Big Daddy's podcast from my laptop, if I needed to, I could do that. Of course, I have all that because, you know, sometimes I hop on my main production machine, or I have been, so it's good I have everything on my laptop too, in case I need it. But Solus has been great. Really like Solus. Really like the budgie desktop environment. Yeah, Cubes keeps all domains separated, as Tails is all about Tor. Yep. Yeah, Nokia, he's on Arco on his laptop. Gregory, I installed Antrigos on VM last night. Yeah, it's a very good distro, Antrigos. Gregory mentions he works on his feet, 8 hours at work. Yeah. Yeah, it can be tough standing all day. The trick is find a good pair of shoes. Makes all the difference. Yeah, Carl's mentioning he wonders if Ike's ever going to release Solus 4. Yeah, it's been a little bit. They keep adding digits. They keep adding nines. Yeah. What was it? 3.9, 3.99, 3.99, 99. Gregory, my shoes cost $700. Wow. I don't have anything that costs $700, much less a pair of shoes. But I'm cheap. So. All right. You know, while we're here, any of these VMs that I actually want to keep probably should be updated. What's a good one to update? Well, somebody mentioned Arco Linux in the chat. Let's at least get one of these started. While I'm sitting here chatting, I can at least have some of these VMs updating. Let's launch Arco Linux. Awesome. The awesome window manager. Ooh, the awesome window manager looks really, really bad here for some reason. I've never seen that before. What is all this red stuff? Yeah, I am not sure what is going on there. I know this VM was not neon red and purple the last time I looked at it. Might be a VirtualBox guest edition problem. If I had to guess. Usually when you get weird stuff like this going on, it's a guest edition problem. Anyway, I'm rebooting. Yeah, Carl Schneider. That's $350 per foot. That's some expensive feet. For some reason, I was convinced to buy a Blue Moon sample 12-pack. Yeah, don't buy those. It included 3 mango samples, which all got dumped after 2 tastes. Carl's breaking it down per toe. $35 per toe. Yeah, Present Arms says, Gentoo, I'll come back later and see how you're getting on. Now, I'm not updating the Gentoo base distros, because I don't plan on streaming but a few more minutes, and some of the Gentoo updates can take hours. Yeah, Comrade Curio mentions that's a Compton error. Well, let's see. If it was a Compton error, though, when I was rebooting the machine, there was some weird stuff going on, you know, outside of the window manager here, too. But we'll kill all Compton. If it's a Compton problem, should straighten it out. And it does. It's a good call on that. I wonder if I launch Compton again. Yeah. So I wonder what the problem with on auto start. There's something wrong with auto starting Compton. I forget the key bindings here in Awesome. I don't have Eric Dubois' wiki up, or not wiki, it's conky. Normally there's a conky on the screen that tells me his key bindings. Oh well, I'm not really here to play around though. I'm going to just go ahead and update the system. All right. Carl Schneider's on fire with some of the comedy tonight. Mark Yates, Arco Linux is boss. Still, though, they need to fix the website. But Arco Linux rocks. Arco Linux is awesome. I got a lot of updates, though. A lot of updates. Okay. Yeah, speaking of updates. Yeah, Comrade mentions killing Compton will fix it. Gotcha. Carl Schneider, Arco and Arch will have approximately 1.4 million updates, guaranteed. Yeah. Present Arms, that is like a palette snoop on the old days. Yeah, Pusang, he's away from keyboard because he's on a coffee run. Speaking of which, my beer is getting warm. I've taken like 3 sips of this beer in an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, Gregory mentions he was having a guest edition problem. Yeah, sometimes, especially when you get those weird graphical glitches where you can't even see anything that's going on your screen, a lot of times that'll be a guest edition problem. Mark Yates, you need a video card upgrade? Yeah. More about the Arch updates taking a while. The Arch updates don't take that long. You know, things with Arch, you know, like Debian, even like Debian Unstable, you know, which I could update the Seduction VM I have. You know, that's not going to take that long. Because, you know, Debian and Arch, you know, you have the apt package manager and the Pacman package manager. They're pretty quick. The Gen 2 updates take forever. Anyway, I'm going to probably kill the stream here in another couple of minutes. Nico, greetings from Chile. Greetings, Nico. Everybody say hi to Nico. Present Arms, even with 1.4 million updates, it would still be faster to update than Windows. I can't argue with it. Carl, he still has to take the Arco plunge. I've always heard good things about Eric's projects. Yeah. The cool thing with Arco is, you know, the main Arco edition has the 3 desktops. It has, what, XFCE, OpenBox, and i3, which is a great addition. But if you're into, like, minimal window managers, like, if you wanted to just run OpenBox, or just run i3, or just run Awesome, or one of the dozen other window manager options they have, the Arco Linux install is just genius. Because basically all you do is you connect to their GitHub repo and you pull down some of their scripts. You run a script. It takes a little bit of time. It'll take you an hour, hour and a half probably to install everything. But when you have it, it just works. I mean, like this Awesome Window Manager Edition just looks gorgeous. It's configured, looks beautiful out of the box. It's got a lot of software installed out of the box too. Because this is basically Eric Dubois' setup here. I mean, it's his config, basically. How he likes to run it, so. Yeah, so Mark Yates, probably tomorrow. I'm about to work on editing. I did software properties common and the other, but not elementary tweaks. The fact I could no longer right-click kind of bugged me. Yeah. Yeah, Carl, his Arch and Antergos mirrors are smoking fast. Yeah. It's one thing I've always liked about the Arch-based distros is the package manager and the install times. Fast. Same thing with Debian and Debian-based distros. Fast. Yeah, Joe mentions there's some buffering. Yeah, it could be because the VM. I didn't even check this awesome window manager, this Arco Linux VM. I have no idea how many CPU cores this thing is using, how much RAM it's taking. Could be using more than what I would like, actually. I should have checked it before I started the update. But I've already started the update. I'm not killing it now. Don't want to risk breaking the machine. So I can kill some of the other stuff that's going on my desktop though, and hopefully clear up some things. But yeah, I do see that it's buffering quite a bit. OBS is giving me a warning. It's because we're downloading, you know. Right now, if I go back to the VM, see, it's pulling everything down from the repos. It's probably struggling, you know, pulling all that down from the internet and then trying to, you know, send all this video up to YouTube. So, I apologize about that. I should have thought about that before doing this update. So, the buffering actually should get better here in just a second. I think it's through. Yeah, it is. Alright, actually, the update failed. Failed in committing a transaction because user lib mozjs exists in file system. Errors occurred. No packages were upgraded. So I need to fix this error, but I'm not going to bother on this stream since we're having some buffering issues. I'm just going to kill this VM. Alright, and I'll go ahead and close out VirtualBox. And hopefully things settle down here. It may take another minute or two for things to settle down, but hopefully the buffering stops. I have noticed, though, sometimes when it does this buffering, when I go back and watch the video, it'll look perfectly fine after the fact. It's just live. Unfortunately, you guys watching it live, you're going to have to put up with some of the buffering. Sometimes it drops you down into a really low resolution. Like it'll drop it down to 144p. So, yeah, what do I think about Enlightenment? Have I ever tried Bodhi Linux? I did install Bodhi Linux in a VM. I reviewed it on the channel. It was one of my early videos. Liked Bodhi. Enlightenment is a very lightweight window manager. Blazing fast. It's not something I personally would use. I don't particularly like the workflow. It's a little confusing to me. But again, that's just a personal bias. I think Enlightenment's fantastic, though. I think Bodhi is a fantastic distro. Yeah, Q1 Fiends also is the stream going in and out. Yeah, well, I'm probably just going to go ahead and kill the stream here. Once I get through the chat, we'll go ahead and call it a night. We had a lot going on, too, on my computer there the last few minutes when I was updating that VM. I also had several browser tabs open because I've still had the browser tabs for Tails open, for the Tor website page open. I had a live preview of the stream open in YouTube. Also had a terminal open. Sometimes I keep a terminal window open for if any programs give me a problem. It's nice to be able to X-kill. I'm just cautious like that these days because I've had some streams go so bad. And sometimes you just really wish, man, if I had only had a terminal window open. So nowadays, I just always have a open terminal somewhere on one of my 3 monitors. Alright, Mr. F, much respect. Great stream. Appreciate that. He's got to run, yeah. We're shutting it down. Carl Schneider. All right, I'm sold. That will be my project for the week. What's your project? I must have missed it earlier in the chat. Yeah, it's buffering like crazy. Yeah, let's go ahead and kill the stream, guys. So, yeah, my opinion on the best lightweight Linux distros. Linux Lite, WattOS. I haven't tried WattOS. Linux Lite is great. LXLE is great. Peppermint is great. Puppy Linux is great. Lubuntu is great. Any of those. All of them. Solid distros. Yeah. Yeah, so the stream is having some real issues. So let me go ahead and kill the stream, guys. I do want to thank everybody that stopped by. Glad you guys hung out with me for a bit. So Greg, Carl, Mark, Norris, good to meet you. Nico, Nokia, Present Arms, Rose, still around, Sakis, everybody that was in the stream earlier. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Before I go, let me do a special thanks to my patrons, A.K. Ron, Mr. Neely Pops, John, Brian, Carl, Greg, Carlos, Rob, Matt,